Well, I didn't think I was going to have any more videos, and then I was sitting in the hotel here, and I had time for a game, and the Wi-Fi was being cooperative. So with the configuration you see here, whether Wayfarer being in the deck instead of map, everything else being the way that it is, I went ahead and played, and my first game I actually lost due to a pretty bad series of luck. Never drew black mana and died with a demonic tutor in my hand. So I played a new game and I was really frustrated, and I decided that I was going to just handicap myself and kind of screw around and just have a good time. So facing Carador here, I get this hand here. It's a very reasonable good hand, so I mulligan it. And what I was doing is I was trying to find Weathered Wayfarer, because I just wanted to test the card. I didn't get to test it in the first game, I didn't get to test it in this game. So here I have a great hand, mulligan, mulligan again a great hand, mulligan an okay hand, a bad hand, a keepable hand, and for no reason whatsoever I mulligan the last card away, and so I play this, mulligan to 0. I haven't made a mulligan to 0 video in a while. The last one was Sliver Queen, I think, and that was probably almost a year ago. So let's see how it plays out. So my first two draws right off the top, Command Tower and an Island. My opponent gets Survival of the Fittest and a Guy's Cradle to go with an Arbor. So he couldn't really have much better of a draw over there outside of a few maybe really broken things. And I top deck Dark Confidant, because when you mulligan to 0, what you want to do is draw land, Dark Confidant, right? So I didn't think he would live too long, given that there's a survival out. But my opponent starts setting himself up for a combo with Carador. So he kills, or he Buried Alive's Karmic Guide, Micaeus, and Triskelion. I figured he was just going to reanimate Karmic Guide, who would reanimate Triskelion, and then shoot Dark Confidant soon. So I was really hoping for some kind of action here. And I find Force of Will and no blue card. But I revealed the Force, so maybe the Force of Will scare him off into trying to play 2 cards. And waiting and giving me time for Dark Confidant to dig me out of the hole that I intentionally put myself in the beginning of the game. So he activates Survival, pitching a Witness for Wood Elves. Can't see myself ever really making that play, but so he ramps a bit, and basically I get another free turn with Dark Confidant. Now, if you're me, what's the one card you want to draw more than anything right now? I'll give you a hint. Its initials are the same initials you use for a doctor. That's right. The one card you want to draw more than anything is Mana Drain. And so, of course, my deck being super cooperative, I draw Mana Drain. Oh, and a blue spell to go with my Force of Will. Just how sweet. This deck is just ridiculous sometimes. So anyway, here's his threatening graveyard. I'm not going to get that many permanents this game, I don't think. So anyway, on his turn he goes for a Vile Arc after seeing my Mana Drain, which is amazing. And so I get 5 mana, exactly what I need to play Karn. And for my turn, I draw a Kalni Gem and a Counterspell. And because I drew the Counterspell, I actually was thinking here, and because I have Force of Will, I decided not to Karn. Because if I go the Karn route, I'm basically saying that I plan to win with Karn, and while that's certainly possible, I've won with Karn before, I thought it might be a safer bet to make a different play. So what I do is I collect my 5 mana, and then I cast Kalni Gem and replay a land and cast Oloro with exactly the correct amount of mana, thanks to Kalni Gem's resetting one of my lands. And now I'll be drawing 3 cards per turn, and I have 2 counterspells ready to go. So he throws away Archangel of Thune, and fetches Shieldred, and throws away Shieldred for Loyal Retainers, and then goes with Loyal Retainers. It's so funny that this card is banned in the French list. Like, I don't know, it just seems kind of silly to me. Anyway, play blue. So I force a Loyal Retainers, so he doesn't get to combo me out or Shieldred or anything this turn, and he has no more white mana, but he has Umizawa's Jite. And of course these guys are acting as mana sources with his Cradle there. So he equips his elves, and for whatever crazy reason decides not to trade a Wood Elf, which is a mana source, for a Dark Confidant, essentially a Llanowar elf for a Dark Confidant. He lets me have the Confidant. I think he meant to attack and maybe he double-clicked and misplayed on accident. That's as opposed to like taking it back. I'm not sure. If that's the case, I do feel bad. I've done that myself, and it's quite frustrating. But it gives me another turn with Confidant, and sometimes one turn is one turn too many with this deck. So Confidant finds me a Mystical Tutor, and I'm sitting here thinking about what I might want to go get, and what I really want is a Disenchant. But I don't really have time to go get a Disenchant just yet. Well, you know, for GTA, in case Confidant lives. Because if I fetch a Disenchant and cast it, I can't counterspell, and I'm going to need a counterspell on his turn, so I just have to let it go. So I gain the life and instead draw an extra card. This lets me hold up a counterspell and Mystical Tutor, both. And I get another counterspell, which is fantastic since I'm playing so few. So pass for the turn. He'll Admiralty calls for Spike Feeder, and I'm like, who the heck tutors for Spike Feeder when you could get, I mean, I don't know, it made no sense to me. But of course, it turns out that if you can get an Archangel of Thune and a Spike Feeder into play, then you get infinite life and all of your creatures get infinitely large. Or, you know, however many times you want to click the button. You take a counter off to gain 2 life, and then that puts a counter back on Spike Feeder plus all your other guys. You take a counter to gain 2 life, puts a counter on Spike Feeder plus all your other guys. So, kind of a nifty, a really actually nifty combo. So anyway, he goes for Carador. He's got the Speeder in his hand. For us old players, we never called it Spike Feeder, it was always Speeder. But I can counterspell it and buy myself a whole turn here, unless he has white, and the last card in his hand is white. So he gets Temple Garden, and, well, the last non-Spike Feeder card in his hand, and he's able to use his Phyrexian Tower to cast a Carador, but he doesn't have enough mana to do anything with it this turn, which is really key. Except equip Jite, but that's whatever. So now I was thinking, okay, well, I could Mystical Tutor, but if I Mystical Tutor here for, I don't know, let's say Terminus, and I Terminus, I won't be able to counter next turn. I stop my drawing engine, and he's got a Survival and a Speeder in his hand. He's just going to Spike Feeder, he's just going to Survival right back to Carador, and I lose. I could go get Swords to Plowshares, but then I can't counter, and Carador's ability, his unique ability, will allow him to just recast Carador anyway. So, actually, what to Mystical Tutor for here is definitely not obvious. So, I don't tutor for anything. First, I let Dark Confidant find me a card, and because I get the Mox Opal, I go ahead and pay for Oloro. I think. No, I let Oloro go. No. I got Mox Opal. Here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, if you do the math, see, if I draw a land, I can play Mox Opal for free and the land, and then tap 2, well, whatever 2, for Grim Monolith. At which point Mox turns on. So let's say I tap 2 for Grim, then I tap for 3, 4, 5, 6, and a land is 7. I could actually cast Karn this turn. So because I drew the Mox Opal, I decided neither to Mystical Tutor nor to draw a card off Oloro, and I'm just hoping I get a land so I can play Karn. And bingo, I get a land. Of course, I haven't had a land for a while, so it was a reasonable gamble. You know, this was no land, no land, no land, no land. That's 4 cards straight. Plus this. In fact, my first 2 cards were land, and then I haven't had a land since. Calmy Gem made it look like I had drawn land, but I actually haven't. So 2 lands out of 15 cards, I was due. But still, it was an interesting risk to take. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized here that although I could play Karn and exile his commander, he's just going to replay the commander again. I mean, it really doesn't do me all that much good. Now, he can potentially go infinite with his guys, and I can still win because I don't really care about life totals. I could reset the game with Karn as long as he doesn't actually hit me with a, you know, creature, because obviously I would insta-kill me, since all his guys will be just as big as his life total. Half of his life total, and his life total will be in the hundreds. So anyway, I could try to defend myself that way, but I decided I've got a better plan. So I play the Grim so that the Mox Opal turns on, and I've got a Cryptic Command counterspell ready to go. I'm going to move this elsewhere. We'll just cover the time. It's not going to come down to time. And I go ahead and just pass the turn. I don't want to swing and put counters on GTA so he can kill my confidant. So for his turn, he draws and casts from the graveyard Revile Arc. And so I go ahead and just counter that and attempt to bounce his Carador. Now he can sack it for mana and then recast it here. He can sack it for 2 and then recast it 3, 4, but he'll still be 1 mana short from really doing anything other than re-equipping Jite. He can basically just reposition himself into the same scenario that he was just in. So yeah, I mean, if I were him, I would have activated this so that he could have a Jite equipped, but he doesn't. He misses the play, and that's fine. So on my turn, now I draw the Abyss, not helpful. Oloro, I go ahead and just pay, I think, yep. Digging, not helpful, but I got the mana back that I spent. So now I figure I've got to either Mystical Tutor or Karn. I'm out of counter spells. So I decided that the play here is Mystical Tutor. I was really hoping he wouldn't recast Carador there. Of course he did, but had he not, then I could have Mystical for a Tuck counter and been in much better shape. Anyway, he didn't do that, so I have to tutor here. So now what do you get? Here's all the options. What do you get? And again, I thought about getting originally I was thinking about getting Enlightened Tutor and then Enlightened Tutor for Humility, and then ultimately trying to play a Karn game. But I've already used both the Confident and the Oloro, so if I go get Enlightened Tutor here, I can't do that. There is possibly Rift. I don't know what other options there are here. You can take a look. But if you thought about it enough, I'll show you what I got. It was Demonic Tutor, and instead of going for Humility and shutting off my card drawing engines, I play Demonic Tutor just a little differently here. So I tap my Grim because I know I'm going to spend the mana. Humility is certainly a reasonable play if that's your call. Here's your second chance to see if you can figure out what I fetch. Okay, well, here's what it is. I go get Tezzeret, and with Tezzeret, I go ahead and get him down into play, and then fetch myself a Winter Orb. And now, while he can equip a Jite, there's very little he can do. He can replay cards from his graveyard, but it's going to be a long time before he gets to play, you know. The best thing he can do is untap Savannah here and cast himself a Loyal Retainers by sacking his Arbor, and then playing, you know, tapping for white and 2 off of this, and then or he could potentially untap Savannah, and then if he hits a land drop, he could do it that way. Either way, his best play here is Loyal Retainers, and then he could return a Shieldred. But if he made that play, then on my turn he doesn't know it. But of course I'm going to draw for Dark Confidant, then Confidant's going to die, and then I'm going to slap Karn into play and kill Shieldred, and he's going to be right back where he started. Of course, he's going to be able to keep playing the Retainers thanks to Carador, but ultimately, I think I get ahead. However, he doesn't try to think it through, I think. He untaps Cradle, which is totally the wrong call here, and gets him nowhere, and then sacks for some mana and casts nothing at all. He concedes. I don't know. I guess he just didn't think it through. Because definitely the play for him was Loyal Retainers, Shieldred. Pretty much the only chance he gets, I think. I don't know if there's any other legend in here that would be a better target than that. Well, certainly not Macias the Unhallowed. So yeah, his only play there was Loyal Retainers, and then he has to fight a battle against Karn. He doesn't know that. But on my turn, I would have got a land, and then I would have tapped for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Activate Tezzeret, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not enough. So I would have activated Tezzeret, left Grim untapped, tapped the gem, and then slapped Karn down and ate his Shieldred. On the following turn, he could have replayed Shieldred using Loyal Retainers. And then on my turn, Oloro dies. Then I Karn again his Shieldred, and then activate and then play the Abyss, and then his guy would die. I would be left with a Tezzeret in play at that point, and no creatures whatsoever. but I would have won. Or, alternately, had I drawn an island, then I would have conned him next turn, and on the following turn, had I drawn an island, I would have tezzerated for 3, and then just got shackles and snagged his guy potentially as well. Another possible out for me there. So yeah, I think it would have been better and more interesting if he would have kept going. But hey, how often do you see somebody fight it out from a mulligan to 0 against a guy's cradle survival of the fittest draw and actually win? I think that's pretty telling as to the strength of this deck. And I did say that I thought the last one would be my last video, but you know, you never know. Luckily I had time to make one more. Maybe I'll have time to make one more. I have my doubts though. So basically from now on, any videos I make could be the last until whenever I have time again in the future, which is going to be quite a while from now. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you made it through all this, I hope you enjoyed that game. It was a little bit of fun to do something crazy like that and manage to turn it into a win. And I'll see you next time, whenever that might be.